We now move to Part 2 and debate on clauses 10 to 17. The question is that Part 2 stand part.
Mr Chair.
I call Chris Farfoy.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair, for the opportunity to speak to Part 2 of the Freedom Camping Bill. And as many of the members on this side of the House have made clear, we think that this is another example of Part 2 is another example of, no matter what you call it, over the top, heavy-handed or sledgehammer to crack a nut. Part 2 again typifies that we think that this is a bit of an overreaction from the government to what we do see is a problem, but not a significant enough problem to basically take away the freedoms of Kiwis who have enjoyed freedom camping in some of our most pristine and beautiful places. And Part 2 deals with where freedom camping is permitted. And what basically now is in store for New Zealanders and visitors is that some of our most beautiful areas where beaches and vistas and views we are no longer allowed to enjoy, to be able to park up and have a look around, have a bit of a kip, without having what would be called ablution police now keeping an eye on us. And Mr Chair, I'd now like to kind of open a window to the world of what it would be like to be one of these people who are going to be forced to police this kind of law. What exactly are they going to be confronted with? Because I think basically that along with parking wardens, the people that will be tasked with policing the Freedom Camping Bill legislation will be one of the most hated occupations both for New Zealanders and for visitors to New Zealand. Mr Chair, these people in some of our most pristine areas are going to be forced to sit in car parks or rest stop areas or places where you can have a look at some of the most beautiful views in New Zealand and forced to snoop on what people are doing there. So if you're a family sitting at home now, just like Calvin Davis does at Christmas time, and you're out enjoying some time with your family, but you get caught short, it's going to be the job of some of these people now to whack you with a $200 instant fine if you're found, defecating or urinating in some of these public places. Now, sure, or I beg your pardon? Or just camping. That's right, or just camping. You now run the risk of being slapped with what we think is an over-the-top $200 instant fine. We're going to hire people to do this kind of work, and as Steve Chadwick said in her earlier contribution to the bill, is we don't need these people to be doing this kind of work. There are other means and ways of making sure we can crack down on this problem, but people hired by local bodies and by the Department of Conservation shouldn't be doing this kind of work. They shouldn't be snooping on people who are enjoying some of our most pristine areas. They should be making sure that other bylaws are being adhered to, and that some of the flora and fauna and some of the wildlife in some of these areas are being saved. Not making sure that they can keep an eye on people who are enjoying a night out under the stars in their sleeping bags, as Stuart Nash commented on earlier, to make sure that they're not defecating or urinating in public areas. That's not their job. We don't believe it is. It should be their job to monitor that kind of behaviour in some of these areas. Mr Speaker, again, this bill is heavy-handed and a punitive measure that threatens the freedom that Kiwis have enjoyed over generations to make sure that they can camp under the stars. And I'd like to pick up on a point that Stuart Nash made earlier around the definition of what is freedom camping and what is short-term freedom camping in some of these brilliant areas. And my colleague Chris Hipkins pointed out that he's been on a number of camping expeditions where he's done this, and I'd just like to know what's going to happen to the surfing expedition now. It's not unknown for a young bunch of lads to jump in the car on a Friday night, head to the beach, camp out for an early start on a Saturday morning to make sure they can get the early waves. But now under this legislation, what's going to happen to that? Because it is unclear as to whether or not that's going to be freedom camping or not. So a lot of surfers are going to be sitting at home wondering what this national government is doing to the freedom that they've enjoyed and their parents have enjoyed for many years, to be able to go and sleep under the stars or in their car in some of these areas close to the beach so they can get the early morning waves. And Mr Chair, it also raises the possibility of freedom camping being effectively outlawed in large parts of the country, and I think that is a sad byproduct of this bill. It leaves uncertainty in the minds of Kiwis. Can I park here? Can I sleep here? Will I get a $200 fine? And now that uncertainty is there with many Kiwis, and it's going to leave a lot of confusion there for many Kiwi families who do enjoy some of these most pristine areas.